Okay, we'll start the session. Before that, let me just revise what we discussed in yesterday's session. So yesterday we discussed about what is operating system. Yes, so operating system is what? It's a collection of programs which acts like a interface between the hardware and the software. So we discussed without OS why we cannot use the machine, because the machine which consists of hardware and software, hardware understand only machine language, that is zeros and ones. Software understand high level language. So we need a mediator between these two. So who is that mediator? Operating system. So we discussed yesterday. Yesterday we have discussed that we have different operating system, but most commonly used operating system is the Windows and Linux. So yesterday we focused on Linux operating system. So what is the main thing which separate the Linux from other operating system? So if anybody asks what is Linux, what we need to say? Linux is an open source operating system. What is meant by open source? Yesterday we have discussed. Open source means the source code of the Linux operating system, which is designed by the Linus Torvald, is freely available over the internet, which anybody can access and modify, which cannot be done in any other OS. So the source code of any other OS we can't see, but the Linux operating system source code, which is designed by the Linus Torvald, is freely available, which anybody can access. Not only we can access, but we can modify. Because of that, in Linux we have so many flavors. Because anybody can take that source code and they can add some features to it. They can modify the source code, means they can keep the kernel, Linux kernel as it is, and they can add some features. Then they can have their own OS. So likewise, different companies, what they are doing, they are releasing their own Linux OS with their own name, with their own logo. Yesterday I told you the official logo for Linux is Penguin. For Windows, window. So different companies like Red Hat, Ubuntu, Kali Linux, SUSE. So what they have done, they have taken the source code of the Linux kernel, which is designed by Linus Torvald, and they added some features. Then they are calling their own OS with their name. So yesterday I told you, can we learn all the flavors of Linux? No, it is impossible. So if you are good with one flavor, you can work on any other flavor. We discussed yesterday, like example, if you know the car driving for one particular model, you can drive other also, like Maruti 800, you can drive the Tata Sumo also. Yes, it may take some time just to know little bit of different features, but you can drive. So same way, once you know one flavor good, you can work on any other flavor. So we are going to work in this course the Red Hat using the CentOS. So yesterday I told you why we are using the Red Hat, because most of the servers in the world, they are working on Red Hat. So Red Hat, now Red Hat, uh, they are they are releasing their OS in two flavors. Fedora, which is completely free, but that is useful for home purpose, and they are releasing RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, for industry. For that, their OS is free, but they are providing the support. For that, they are charging. So we are using this OS for training purpose. So exact same whatever is there in RHEL 7, we will be having same thing, exact same copy on CentOS 7. CentOS full form, Community Enterprise Operating System. So the people who are working in Linux as Linux expert in different company, to expand, to make Linux grow, what they did, not for business purpose, just to make the Linux more, what you can say, expandable, so that it can become a more competitor to the Windows OS. So they took the permission from the Red Hat, and they are copying the same thing and releasing. So the Red Hat, whatever features you have Red Hat, same will be there in the CentOS. Only difference is here they are not providing any support, but they are not also charging, completely free. Okay. So yesterday we discussed the structure. So why most of the servers in the world, they are using Linux? Because there are many features in Linux. One of the important feature is structure. So yesterday we discussed the Linux OS. divided into the complete operating system of the Linux operating system is divided logically. Operating system is a collection of programs. So this collection of program of Linux is divided into two parts, logically, not physically. First layer is shell. So whenever we want to apply the command, we need to open what? Terminal. Once you open the terminal, you will get what? Shell. So what is the default shell we use? As bin bash. So what the shell will do? It is a command checker. Whether your command is correct or not, it will check. Once it is correct, it will convert that command from the high level to the binary. Then it will go to the this point yesterday we have discussed, just I'm revising it. Then it will go to the kernel. I said yesterday kernel is the main part of the Linux operating system. So it is similar to like brain. So what the brain does for us? Controlling and managing all our activities. Same way, all the tasks of the whatever task we are doing from the machine, who will control and manage all the tasks? Who will control? Who will manage? Who should do which part should do what work? Who will decide? Who will control this? Linux kernel. So whenever a user give any task by writing the command on the terminal, means we are using the shell. Shell will convert in the background that command which we have given into binary. Then it goes to the kernel. Kernel will check this part should be done, this task should be done by which hardware or software. It will send to that. Then the task will be done, output will be available. So now once the available output is available in binary form, it comes to the kernel. Kernel will send it to the shell. Now shell while before it displays the output, it will convert the output from binary to high level and displays on the this. So that is the reason we are able to see the output on our high level format, which we can understand. So this is what happens to the Linux operating system. I hope it is clear. Yesterday I discussed this in detail. I just revised because I think some people are today also joining. So if you want to go through our yesterday session, you can go through our YouTube channel, or this recording will be sent to you. Now, why Linux is more secure? Because of its structure. So yesterday we discussed that in Linux, whenever somebody send you suppose the virus file in Windows, without doing anything, the file will get executed, it will be run, because there is no security, no checking. Windows is easy to operate, no doubt, but security wise Linux is more secure. That's why most of the client prefer to use Windows as the client purpose, but most of the servers in the world are working on servers because of its security. So it is more secure. So when anybody send any virus file in Linux, it will never execute, because the command will check that command is there or not. It is not there. And Linux file, in the Linux, the file do not have any execute permission. So today, and on first day I told you what are the topics we are going to discuss this. Yes. Now today we'll see where exactly what data will be stored. So most of the people might be new to the Linux operating system. So to make you understand in a simple and easy way, first we should know, before we start working on the Linux operating system, we should know its data structure, where exactly what data will be stored. So once you know that, then you can easily able to work or operate the Linux operating system. So today we will see that file system data structure means where exactly what data will be stored. Technically that is called file system hierarchy standard. So before I go with the proceed with the Linux structure, as we are more comfortable, or most of us are more familiar with Windows, first we will see the structure of the Windows OS, then we will compare it with the Linux. Okay. Now first we will see how the data is structured, or where exactly what data will be stored in Windows, so that you can equate it with the Linux later. Now let's say suppose this is the laptop we have purchased. So most of the people will install which OS in their laptop? Windows. So once you install the Windows OS in this machine, you will have what? Hard disk. On the hard disk, this OS, Windows OS, will get installed where? In the C drive. So whenever we install the Windows OS, where exactly it will get installed? On the C drive. So so Windows OS will be present where? In the C drive. Now this C drive contain many important folders. Now C drive contain many important folder. Drive is a collection of folder. So we will discuss the important folder. So this C drive, which contain Windows operating system. This is Windows operating system consists of many folders. One of the important folder is Windows. So this Windows folder contain subfolder with the name called System32. So this folder contain the detail related with the OS detail. System32 drivers, the log files, the etc file. So there's a complete operating system of the Windows OS data will be related in Windows folder in the form of System32 drivers, log file, etc. Yes. Then another important folder is program file. So this program file contain all installed applications. So whenever we install any application, where exactly it will get installed in Windows? Where exactly it will get installed in Windows? On the program file. Then in the C drive program file. Then we have a folder called the users. So in the user folder, there is one subfolder. There is one subfolder with the name called administrator. There is a subfolder called administrator. So this folder contains administrator created data. And whenever administrator login and creates the data, so administrator user data will be stored in this folder. And for rest of the users with their name, one folder will be created. So if suppose there is one user U1, so one subfolder will be created with the name called U1 in user folder. So it contains U1 data. Same way, if you created suppose U2, another user, so it contains U2 data. So for each and every user, one subfolder will be created in users folder with their name. So this is the overall content or overall structure of the Windows operating system. So in this, the OS will be there in a single drive, single partition. So it is easy to operate. So this OS is easy to operate. But with this comes the disadvantage also. Suppose in Windows, everything is on a single drive. Suppose this user login and he got affected with some issue, maybe virus or anything. So once this folder get affected, since this folder belong to this, so this U1 folder will affect the users folder. Now, since this user folder belong to C drive, now it will affect the C drive. Now the complete OS will get affected. So this is the problem in Windows. So in Windows, since the OS is installed on a single drive, single partition. So here, if any one of the OS folder get corrupted, entire OS will get affected because everything is on a single drive, single partition. So with the Windows, the OS is installed in single drive. With that advantage is easy to operate, but with that it has a disadvantage also. What is that? So in Windows, if any one of the OS folder get corrupted, it will affect the entire OS, which will not happen in Linux, because Linux OS is installed not on single partition. Linux OS is installed on multiple partition, which we can't do in Windows. So before we go for the Linux installation, which we will do from tomorrow onwards, the practicals will be there. So as I told you on the first day, first 3-4 days, we are just discussing the basic things so that you can understand what is Linux. Okay. So now today we will see the Linux structure. where exactly what data will be stored. So once you understand that, then tomorrow we can proceed with the installation of the Linux OS. Then we will be able to operate that operating system. So before you install and work on it, your fundamental should be good. That's why today we will be discussing the file system hierarchy standard of Linux operating system. So through which we can understand where exactly what data will be stored. So now come to the important point, the Windows OS, where it will get installed on the C drive. So same way now, if I have taken one new laptop, another laptop, or your friend has taken one new laptop, instead of installing the Windows OS, he has installed the Linux OS. Now what will be the difference? Now when you install the Linux OS, the Linux OS will not get installed on any drive. Linux does not contain any drive. So similar to C drive, you have what? A directory. So where the Linux OS will get installed? On slash. Now slash is a directory, main directory. So this main directory contains many subdirectories like slash home, slash boot. Slash is the main directory which contain Linux OS. And in the slash directory there is many subdirectories. So their name will start with slash home, slash boot, slash root. Many will be there. So for this important subdirectory, we can make separate partition while doing the installation, which we can't do for Windows. So that's why Linux is more secure. Now we will discuss in detail where exactly what data will be stored in Linux. As I am telling you every day, so this file, theory file, I'll be giving you once you make the payment. I think within few days they will be creating one new link, and the people who made the payment, you will be getting one new drive. On that everyday session will be uploaded, and I'll be also sending you 3 files, one practical step file, one theory file related with the standalone topic, and one theory file related with the servers network admin file. Now, so that you don't have to write much anything. So now see the overall structure of the Linux now. So when we install the Linux OS, this is the overall structure. Now we'll discuss each and everything. So please concentrate here. So this will be the overall structure of the Linux. So in Linux, there is no direct drive letter. Here, the OS is based on, Windows OS is based on drive letter. Linux OS is designed are based on directory. So Windows OS get installed where? On C drive, whereas the Linux OS get installed when we install the Linux OS. Where it will get installed? On the slash. So what is the name of the slash here? Slash is a directory which is called root directory. Slash is called root directory. So this root directory contains many subdirectories. So when we are reading this name, you should compulsory say slash before their name. You should not say bin, proc, boot like that. You have to say slash bin, slash proc, slash boot, slash root, slash dev, slash esb. So these are the subfolders. So each subfolder contains some specific details. Like in Windows, program file contain installed application. Users contain subfolder in the form of administrator and users name, which contain users data. So same way here, each and every subfolder contains some specific detail. So that we will discuss. So please remember, if you understand these 3 things, slash, slash root, and slash home, you will not get much confusion. These 3 things are main. Once you understand this slash root, and slash home, you will understand this structure quite easily. So please remember, slash is a main directory where Linux OS will be there. Slash root is the home directory of the root user. So in Linux structure, you have to remember these 3 things. So once you are clear with these 3 things, you can easily understand the structure of the Linux OS. So in Linux, you have to remember these 3 things. First, you have to remember Root. Who is root? In Windows, the administrator account name is, in Windows, the administrator is called is administrator. In Windows, the administrator account is referred with the name administrator. Whereas in Linux, the administrator account name is root. So whenever we say only root, it is nothing but we are talking about the user called administrator user. Just a moment, I am getting a call. 1 minute. Hello, can you able to hear me? Sorry, there was a call. I think you can able to hear me. Yes, I'm audible to you. Okay. So now, here you have to remember, in Windows the administrator name is called administrator, whereas in Linux the administrator name is what? Root. You need to clearly understand this. Whenever anybody says root, it means they are talking about the administrator user. And where the Linux OS will get installed? On slash. Slash means it is a directory. It is a main directory. And the name of this directory is, it is called root directory. Slash is called root directory. So when they say root directory, you need to understand that they are talking about slash. When they say only root, it means they are talking about we are talking about the user. Which user? Administrator user. So administrator user account name in Linux is root. So whenever we use the word root, we need to understand that we are talking about administrator. Whenever we are saying about the slash, it means it is a directory which is called root directory or top level directory. And slash root is the home directory. Slash root is the home directory of root user. So whenever root user log in and create some files and data, so where the root user data will be stored in Linux? Slash root. Like in Windows, the administrator data will be stored where? In a folder called C drive users administrator. So administrator name in Linux is root. So root data will be stored where? In slash root. Slash root is a subdirectory. Slash root is a subdirectory of slash. So these are slash home, slash boot. These are all subdirectory. So the main directory in Linux structure and Linux OS is the main directory in Linux OS is slash, which contain Linux OS in the form of many subdirectories like slash home, slash boot, slash root. All this will contain specific data, which we will be discussing. So before we start with the discussing the Linux data structure, you have to clear about these three things. Root means administrator user. Slash means directory, which is called root directory. Slash root means it is a subdirectory which contain the root user created files and data, files and directory. So slash root is the home directory of root user, which contain slash root contain root user created data. Root user created data, like root, if a root user creates any files and directory, where it will be stored? On slash root. When we install the Linux, where it will be stored? Linux will be stored in slash directory, which is called root directory. So it contains Linux OS. So slash is similar to C drive. Are you understanding? Once you understand these three things, remaining things will be easier. So please tell me, are you following, or I need to explain once more? These three things: root, slash root. After that, rest of the structure is easy. So please tell me, have you understood, or I need to repeat? Because if you understand this, you can operate the Linux operating system. So please confirm it. Did you understood, or I need to repeat? These three things first. Root. Who is root? Root is a user. Who is root? So whenever we say root, whenever we use the term just root, you need to understand that it is a user. Which user? Administrator user account. So in Windows, the administrator is called with the name administrator, whereas in Linux, the administrator name is root, that we cannot change. So when we install the Windows OS, where it will get installed? On C drive. In Linux, when we install the Linux OS, where it will get installed? On slash. So slash is the main directory, which is called root directory. Slash is called root directory. In slash, like C drive contain many folders or many directories. Same way, slash contain many subdirectories. So these are the subdirectories. Slash root is a subdirectory of slash. Slash home is a subdirectory of slash. So slash contain Linux OS in the form of many subdirectories. One of the important subdirectories slash root. So slash root is called the home directory of root user. So whenever root user log in and creates any files and directory, where it will be stored in Linux? Root user created data, where it will be stored? In slash root. So it is similar to like administrator folder in Windows. So in Windows, the administrator name is administrator. That's why administrator data will be stored in administrator folder. In Linux, administrator name is root. Root data will be stored in subfolder slash root. Are you understanding now? Yes, is it clear? If you understand these three things, the remaining things will be easier for you to understand. Yes, have you understood now, Niranjan? Niranjan, did you understood?
Yes, sir. Understood, sir.
Okay, fine.
Understood.
Now we will discuss all the directories one by one. Which directory contain what exactly? The rest of the people also, I'm not asking any specific people, all the people. Harshvardhan, Vikesh Kumar, Niranjan, Rishi, Shabarna, Parveen. Are you following, all of you? If anybody have any question, any doubt, please tell me. If you understood up to this, I'll proceed to the next point. If you have any doubt, any question, please ask me. Okay, okay. Niranjan, can you just keep your mic in mute position? Niranjan. Okay, thank you. Now let us see the overall structure of Linux, where exactly what data will be stored. We'll discuss them in detail one by one. So this is the overall structure. So in Linux, the administrator name is root. So this file I'll be sending you. Once you make the payment, I'll be getting your name. So I'll be sending on your mail ID this file. So in Linux, the slash is called root directory. This is the most important directory because it contains Linux OS, and all other directories are derived from it. So that's why they are called subdirectory. So one of the subdirectories is what? Slash root. So slash root is the home directory of the root user. So whenever root user means administrator login, by default it logins to which location? Slash root. So slash root contain what? Root user created data. So whenever you log in as a root user and create any file or directory, so where the root user data will be stored? In slash root. So here it is written slash root contain the root user data. It is similar to like administrator folder in Windows C drive users. Next, slash home. So slash root is the home directory for root user only, but except the root, for rest of the all other user, slash home is the home directory for rest of the all users. So if anybody asks you in Linux, as a U1, I have logged in and created some data. So where the user's data will be stored? In slash home. In slash home. Like in Windows, in the user folder, for each and every user, one folder will be created with their name. Exactly same way in Linux, for each and every user, one folder will be created with their name. But where it will be created in Linux? On slash home. So in the slash home is the home directory. It is the home directory of all users except root. So for root, the home directory is slash root. Slash root is the home directory for root user. For rest of the user home directory is slash home. Slash home is the home directory for all the users in Linux except root. Root home directory is slash root, and for rest of the users home directory is slash home. So suppose U1 is logged in and created some file. So where the U1 data will be stored? If anybody asks, what you should say? U1 data will be stored in slash home. Under the slash home, you will find the username. With what name you have a user with same name, a folder will be there. So if you want to see U1 data, slash home slash U1. So if you go there, it will show the U1 created data. If U3 data you want to check, you have to go to slash home slash U3. You can check the user3 data. So please remember, home directory contain the home directory is the home directory for all user except root. Root home directory is slash root. So root created files and folder will be stored in slash root, whereas the rest of the user created files and folder will be stored in slash home. So there are many users, U1, U2, U3. So I want to check U1 data. So /home/U1. So for each and every user, one folder will be created in /home with their name. Same like in Windows. With their name, one folder will be created in Windows also. In users, here it is in /home. The concept will be same, only terminology will be different. Now /boot. So another very important subdirectory /boot. So we will be discussing after few days the booting process. Booting process will be asked in every interview. So booting process means loading of the OS. So whenever we install the OS, where exactly it will get installed? On the hard disk. So when we switch on our machine, will we get immediate login? No, it will take some time, few seconds, because in the background what happens, the OS has to be loaded from the hard disk to RAM. So who will do this task in Linux? So when we install the Linux OS and when we switch on the Linux machine, before we get the login prompt, login screen in the background, booting process here takes place through the /boot directory. So /boot directory contain, in complete 1 or 2 days we'll be discussing booting process. Today you just remember /boot contain bootable files, bootloader which is called Grub, and Linux kernel. So these are the three important things which will be present in the /boot directory, through which it will load the OS. So /boot directory will load the OS from hard disk to RAM. So if your boot directory get corrupted, your OS will be there, but you will not able to get the login screen. So this is also commonly asked question in the interview. Suppose you have installed the Linux OS, and when you switch on the machine, the screen is appearing like this, black screen, and on the monitor it is showing like this, grub greater than. So what you will call this error, or when this error will occur? So the answer is, this error is called grub error. This error is called grub error. So this will occur when /boot directory got corrupted. So when the /boot directory got corrupted, so OS will be present, but the booting process do not able to take place. Our booting process does not take place. The OS will not get loaded from hard disk to RAM. So for that purpose, what you have to do? You have to, for this, what is the solution? You have to insert the bootable pen drive, go to the rescue mode. In Linux it is rescue mode, in Windows it is called safe mode. The concept is same, only terminology is different. Then we have to reinstall this grub folder, or then once we install this, no need to reinstall the complete OS, just we need to go to this uh, bootable pen drive and just install the boot directory. So boot directory contain what? Linux kernel. /boot directory contain what? Linux kernel, bootable files, and bootloader. Bootloader, simply it's called as, bootloader is called as grub, grand unified bootloader. Grub full form, grand unified bootloader. So using these three things, it will do the booting process. Which exactly what it will do, we'll discuss completely in booting process after few days. So today you just remember /boot directory contain Linux kernel, bootable file, bootloader, through which it will do the booting process. Booting process means loading of the OS from hard disk to RAM. So if this folder get corrupted, when you switch on the screen, when you switch on the machine, on the monitor it will show grub greater than. This error is called grub error. So this will occur when the boot directory got corrupted, so that OS is not able to load. So for that, solution is insert the bootable pen drive, go to the rescue mode, just install the /boot directory. No need to install the complete OS. Okay, so this is about your So slash contain Linux OS. So slash is called root directory. Slash root is the home directory of root user, which contain root user data. Slash home is the home directory for all users except root, and slash home contain the all users data. Slash boot contain Linux kernel, bootable file, bootloader, through which it will load the OS from hard disk to RAM. Then we'll get the login screen. Then slash bin. So slash bin full form binary. Grub full form grand unified bootloader. Bin full form binary. It contains list of commands that can be executed by any user, all users. Slash sbin, it contains the commands. Slash sbin full form system binary. Bin full form binary. Sbin full form system binary. It contains the commands which can be used by only one user. So this whatever commands available in bin can be used by all users. But whatever commands available in sbin, those commands cannot be used by any user except root. So whatever commands are available in sbin folder, that commands can be used by only root user. Only root user can use this command, not by other users. If they try to use by other user, it will show access denied or permission denied. Next important folder is USR, which stands for Unique System Resource. So in Windows, whenever we install the application, where it will get installed or where it will get stored in program files. So same way in Linux, whenever we install any software or any application, where it will get stored in USR. So USR full form Unix system resource. So in Linux, whenever we install any application, where it will be stored in /USR. So remember this. In Windows, it will be stored in program file, whereas in Linux, it will be stored in /USR. /USR full form Unix system resource. So whenever we install any application or software in Linux, where it will get is stored, it will get stored on. Where it will get stored, it will get stored on /USR. Okay. Next, etc. etc is called as etc. So etc. It is similar to like a Windows registry file. So whenever we install any application creates some file which is called configuration file. So it contains configuration file, startup script file, configuration files for common services. etc contain configuration file. /dev contain hardware. Dev stands for devices, so it contains hardware devices information. Like you want to check your hard disk size in Linux, so you have to go to the /dev. /dev, which is called device, contain hardware devices information. /var contain what? Log files, cache memory, and the files generated during the software operation. So var stands for variable. Dev stands for devices. So var contain variable data such as cache memory, log files, yes, and the file generated during the software operations. Lib contain library files which are required to boot the system. /opt is used. /opt means optional. which is used to download and install the third-party application. So whatever application you are getting from your OS, if you install that, it will get stored on /usr. But if you download some third-party application, install the third-party application, which is not there with your OS, so those application will be installed on OPT, which stands for optional. Next, media directory. So media directory is used to access the removable storage device, plug and play devices. So whenever you insert the CD or DVD or the pen drive, so if you want to check what is the data is there in your DVD or pen drive or the CD, you have to go to which directory? Media. So media directory is the mouse and can you just Shabana, can you keep your mic in your position? It is causing disturbance to other. Please keep your mic in mute position. Now, so I was telling you about media. Media directory is a mount point. Mount point means accessible point. So in Windows, if you create any partition or if you insert any pen drive, you will access through what? Drive letter, like D drive, E drive. In Linux, everything is accessed through directory. In Windows, everything is done through drive letter. In Linux, everything is done through the directory, remember. So in Windows, the partition or the pen drive, they will be accessed with a drive letter. In Linux, it is accessed with the directory. So inbuilt, they have given one directory called media, which can be used to access our pen drive or any storage device, plug and play device. So MNT is an empty directory which can be used to access our partition. So in Windows, the partition is accessed through drive letter, here through the directory. So one of the directory they have given, or you can create your own directory and access it. Temporary file, same like Windows, it stores a temporary file. And lost plus found directory. So once you try to access the partition with the directory, you have to create a link with the partition with the directory. So that is called mounted directory. So once you access a particular partition or any partition with directory, so once you mount a partition with directory, in that directory, one folder will be created with the name lost plus found. So that indicate that directory is a mounted directory. Okay. So this is the overall content of your Linux. So now I hope you got some idea where exactly what data will be stored. So I'll just briefly once again tell you, slash contain Linux OS, slash bin contain users command, which can be used by all users. Slash proc contain what? The system users file detail. Slash boot contain the bootable files, bootloader and Linux kernel through which it will do the booting process. Slash root contain root user data, home directory of root user contain root data. Slash dev contain hardware devices information. Slash sbin contain admin commands. So whatever command present here can be used only by root, not by any other user. It contain configuration file. Service record it contain all users data. System files here. Lib means library, temporary file. Media is used to access the removable plug and play devices. USR contain inbuilt when you install the application which you are getting from your OS, that will be stored here. MNT can be used to access partition. Where contain variable information. OPT contain third party installed application. So this is the overall structure of the Linux. So please tell me, did you understood? Or if you have any doubt, please tell me. So using this knowledge now, tomorrow we will proceed with how to install the Linux OS. And one more important advantage in Linux, while installing the Linux OS, we can install the Linux OS on multiple partition, which you cannot do in Windows. That's why Linux OS is more secure. That is the reason most of the servers, they are working on Linux. So how to install the Linux OS? Tomorrow onwards we'll start the practical. Okay. So please tell me regarding today's session, if you have any questions, any doubt, please ask me. Yes, now you can unmute your mic. If you have any doubt, any question, you can ask. Yes, anybody, any doubt, any questions? I'm audible to you. Anybody, any doubt, any questions? Or can I close the session? Yes, confirm me. Can I close the session or do you have any doubts? Anyone? Please use the chat box to write or unmute your mic. You have no doubt? Oh. Then can I close the session? Okay. So can I close the session? Okay. So I'm closing the session. See you tomorrow. Thank you, everyone.